Hi, I'm Jessica with Gold Rush Expeditions, and today I'm standing at the Stateline mine. Why is it called the Stateline mine? Well, that's easy. I am right on the border between Nevada and California. We're very close, about 6 miles to the historic Gold Point, which is known as a historic mining district and mining town, and not too far from Tonopah, which is another great historical mining town in Nevada. So we've just pulled up here. Right now, you can get a 2-wheel drive vehicle just to the base of the claims here. It's incredible. The road is well maintained. So we're just starting to explore this site. We're gonna put the drone up and see what else we can see. Right now, we found a huge incline, this beautiful head frame, and there are buildings all over the place. So you'll explore them with us. Let's go take a look. Corey and I were debating whether they were using cyanide here or if they were just crushing the gold and extracting it with shaker tables and things like that. From up above, I could only see one of these vat-looking areas, but now that I'm actually down here, I can see that they were 4. So what they would have done is they would have crushed up the ore up higher, and then they would have put the crushed ore down into one of these first vats. One of the first vats would have extracted the gold using a cyanide method. Well, then they need to wash the cyanide out, and so there were lower vats like these two and this one here that would have washed the cyanide out and kept the gold. The final product would have been gold that you could then turn into bars at a smelter. Okay, so this is a second double compartment shaft on the Stateline claim. This first shaft right here, this is where the ore would have been coming up. There was probably a head frame on the top of this at one point in time. I don't see remnants right now, but I'll definitely keep my eyes open. Over on this other side is the second compartment, and that's where the manway is. You can tell because there's ladders there. Now this particular shaft goes down about 100 feet, and then it has a drift that heads in this direction. So I'm gonna head in that direction and see if I can see where that drift is connecting to. Okay, so I just want to point out on the top left frame here, we have the double compartment shaft that I just showed you on camera. Now I told you that double compartment shaft comes down approximately 100 feet and then has a drift. Now the drift I pointed to this direction. So coming into this direction, what do I find? This is an old hoist house. So now we're standing inside the hoist house. You can see you've got 2 windows, or what look like windows, one big one and one smaller one. There was a purpose to this. So you would have had one winch line usually going through one and another winch line going through the other. And that would have pulled, again, the ore cars up and down. So 2 winch lines coming out of this house and then going down into the incline shaft there to pull the ore up out of the mine. So right here you can see this is a wood foundation with some big bolts coming out of it. This is where the hoist would have been, the winch. This would have been the mechanism that was pulling the cables that then pulled the ore cars. Well, here we are above 2 more massive shafts at the Stateline claim. It is amazing how much we've seen and how much we still have to see. We're only about a quarter of the way done exploring this site. Now behind me here is what appears to be an old kiln. And the kiln could have been used to smelt the bars here at the site. There's not much left to see except for a few bricks and a mound, but some of the bricks are a little bit charred, which tells me there was a fire in here. They were melting something at this site. So by the rock test method, which is where you throw a rock down the shaft and count the seconds, Corey believes this shaft is about 700 feet deep. Now, we're obviously not going to be getting into it today, so when we find the historical maps, we'll give you an exact mapping of how deep this shaft actually is. So right here, there's actually 2 shafts, one right below me and one just to the left, and the one to the left actually stopes out to the surface on the other side as well. It's quite interesting to see. So the site is massive. I would say, let's see, let me just do some math. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the 4th and 5th shaft we've actually found on this site, and we're only a quarter of the way done with it. So we're right next to where the Stateline mine was that we've been exploring, and this is actually called the Enterprise site. So the Enterprise appeared to be an open pit mine. But one thing that I want to point out is, look behind me. It's a game of Where's Waldo? Do you see anything back there? Oh, well, what you're really looking for is there's actually a bunch of stone houses. I can see about 7 or 8 of them. Now, when the miners came out here, a lot of them didn't have money. Most of them were coming out to the west to find a new way to make money, to provide for themselves. They were leaving what was becoming the corporate world of the East and heading out west and becoming their own bosses. So miners would come out here, they'd find jobs. Most of the times they didn't have a penny to their names. So where were they gonna live out here? Well, for free. There's lots of rocks that aren't worth anything out here. So they would take these, they'd stack them up, and they'd build their own shelter. So behind me, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stone houses that I can see just like that. These miners left everything behind. A lot of times their families, their wives, their children, sometimes their parents. And they came out here and they busted their butts to work these mines. And at the end of the day, what did they do? They worked more to build a house to live in. That just shows you the pride and the American spirit that used to be out here when Americans were really hardworking and made their way in life. You know, we don't see much of that anymore, but it is still an option. You can still be a true American and work hard and have something to show for it.
That is pretty much it for the Stateline and the Enterprise mines. They are two separate claims and they are right next to each other, very hotly contested as history shows. There's 6, 7, 8 shafts and adits on each claim, and while we didn't get into the very, very deep stuff in the shafts, every adit we got into, every short little decline did show gold. Go check out the pictures on the website, www.goldrushexpeditions.com. Look around, see what you see, and while you're there, see how cheap it is to own a piece of history and to start making your own future. For Gold Rush Expeditions, I'm Corey. We'll see you at the next site.